Let me ask you this: how would you say Brock Purdy played against the Cardinals? I mean, he destroyed the Cardinals, but then again, Mac probably could have. Adrian Martinez probably could have. The Cardinals destroyed the Cardinals. They committed 17 penalties. They turned the ball over 3 times. They gave the ball to the Niners at the 1 yard line to start the game. I mean, they didn't really want to mess around. Just looking at Brock, independent of the Cardinals, how did he look to you?
I thought he looked pretty good. I mean, first of all, I thought, he took good care of the football, but as far as he didn't wind up with picks, but there was at least 3 or 4 throws that were like, what? The last one to CMC was like you would have swore it was like a ball that got tipped into the air. The trajectory on that was just so loopy. So, I mean, I'm wondering a little bit about 3 or 4 of those throws. And I'm still wondering about how how that toe feels, and he seems like he's not quite. He seemed hesitant to run, so he's not quite Brock, but then he's also really competitive. He hasn't played in a while. He was under a lot of pressure because Jones had played well. And I think all things considered, I think he played remarkably well. But the people that are losing their mind over it, I think you better go look at that a little closer.
I think he did a good job of like showing his mastery of the offense. That first touchdown pass to George Kittle was such a nice play, identifying man-to-man coverage. It wasn't super obvious because they did a bunch of shifts and motions, and there wasn't like clear defenders following people. I mean, he deciphered it in a different way. That was pretty cool. Um, and like you said, he took care of the ball. But I think it was clear. First of all, he held the ball for like 3.3 seconds per pass. So he's still trying to be a playmaker and passing up first reads to get deeper into progression and push the ball down the field, which is great. But when he did want to take off and run, there were a few times where he tried to take off and run and get away from a pass rusher. I didn't think he could really do it. So I don't know. Maybe he's still hesitant, or clearly he said he's not 100% healthy. He didn't need to be very mobile to beat the Cardinals. But I don't know that we're going to see the full mobility of Brock Purdy this season. And that's going to be interesting to see what that looks like when he goes against, like the Seahawks, the Colts down the stretch.
No question. I mean, that I think if I was him, I mean, I would try to run as little as possible until it really matters. You know, be more like Mahomes. Mahomes is not a runner. Mahomes moves in the pocket. He runs once in the second half to beat you. And that's what, if I was Purdy, I think I'd try to run like that if I could. Now, it's easy to say, right? It's hard when you're standing out there and you're trying to make plays down the field and your offensive line is, rough, and you got guys, coming into the backfield and getting penetration, forcing you out. So it's easier said than done. But if I would him, and I think he looked like a guy who didn't want to run. He looked like a guy that was like, you know what, I'm going to try to make plays from the pocket. And I think that's probably his best course of action, but that's not him. His skill set includes running, but might not for the rest of this year.
There were a couple plays where I felt like he was surprised at his lack of, I don't know, speed. Like he scrambled out of the pocket to the left, and I thought it looked like he thought he could run for the first down, but then he couldn't get to the corner, and he pulled up and threw the ball to Demarcus Robinson, or was it Pearsall? It was almost intercepted. Yeah. And it seemed like he was like, I can't get there. Let me pull up and make a throw. But I thought when he took off running, he thought he could get there because normally he could. And then there was the other play I mentioned where Pearsall was open in the end zone, and Purdy scrambles to his left, and Josh Sweat catches him from behind. I feel like those were 2 plays where maybe he was surprised that he couldn't get away, because last year Purdy could get away from those plays. He did get away from those types of sacks a lot.
Well, it's a great point because his greatest skill set is that quick spurt,
that 10-yard burst.
Yeah, it's the 10-yard burst, and it's really being really, really quick right away. Like, I'm 2 steps full speed, and I'm going. And that's what he's got at 225 pounds. That's like one of his best traits, and he doesn't have that right now. He's a slow gatherer to get it rolling. He doesn't have that quick twitch go, and he's going to have to get used to it. So plays he used to be able to make, he can't make, and that's one of them.
I think it's really interesting too. So when we talk about Mac versus Brock, most Niner fans say Brock is much better, and they point to the mobility as the deciding factor, the differentiator, and that is a big differentiator. But he doesn't have it right now. And one thing I'd like to see from Brock down the stretch, again, especially against these teams that he should beat, is to play a little bit more like Mac. Get rid of the ball a little quicker. Maybe don't hold it 3.3 seconds on average every drop back. Maybe get rid of it in 2.7 like you did when you were a rookie. Because the offense functions that way. It's not like it's a deep uh, passing offense anyway. And keep you healthy. Keep the offense moving.
Point guard, distributor, you
Yeah.
know, um, 3 steps, ball comes out. Don't hold it. Yeah, I mean, I think he was fortunate to not be sacked. I mean, and then you got Myles Garrett coming up, so that's a great game plan. Period. But it's a really great game plan because Myles Garrett can end your year. And Myles Garrett's 280 pounds. He runs in the 4.5s. He's sacking quarterbacks, in bunches, and get rid of the ball and neutralize the rush. It also really frustrates the defense when the Niners beat the Rams. Supposedly in the post-game locker room earlier this year, the Ram D line was just really, really frustrated because they couldn't get to Jones because Jones got rid of the ball so fast. And I think quarterbacks sometimes forget that you can really frustrate a defense if you don't give them hits on the quarterback.
I mean, when we first saw Brock Purdy in 2022, I think most people compared him to Drew Brees. A little bit shorter, but a very cerebral pocket quarterback. And since he's been in the league, I feel like his game has evolved to be much more like, I don't know, like a very small Josh Allen. Like it seems like that's the kind of quarterback he wants to be. And he's not built to be that guy. And he gets hurt. He's hurt his toe twice this year. I think he could play like Drew Brees. That's sort of how Mac Jones, what he aspires to be, is that kind of a guy. And we've seen it from Brock Purdy before. He's seen it from Mac Jones in this offense. You have Christian McCaffrey. You're always free to check it down. It's okay. You got paid. No one's going to call you a dink and dunk quarterback anymore. That's the only thing I would say, because he looked really good, and I love the way he pushes the ball down the field. I think he just needs to be a little bit more decisive with when he takes those shots and when he checks down.
The guy he kind of reminds me of, even in the way he retreats when he gets pressed, is Brett Favre. He reminds me of Brett Favre because he always wants to drive the ball down the field, and he's always thinking, if I just keep drifting and I can make a play. And he's not that fearful of the rush, and when he gets pressure in his face, he kind of retreats backwards, and sometimes he does figure eights. Sometimes he turns his back on the line of scrimmage. He reminds me a little Favre in that he hunts the big play when he probably should do what I'm sure Holmgren said to Favre: get rid of the ball. But instead, he hunts the big play, and that's what Brock does.
He's fun to watch. Spider369 says, "Do you think they fire Lynch?" I don't personally. I think the team is going to use the injury excuse, and if they make the playoffs, I think they're going to give themselves a little bit of a participation trophy.
Yeah, I don't think with Shanahan being the central figure and Shanahan being the guy that brought you Lynch, I don't think you get rid of the hand-picked general manager of the central figure of your football team against his wishes and expect that to be a good thing. So I would say, and I don't see any rift.
That's kind of a shot across the bow at Kyle to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just you're going to play. You think you're going to play super hardball when you're Jed York and he's Kyle Shanahan and he can go anywhere and you're going to have a hard time attracting the next head coach once you're the guy that chased out Kyle Shanahan. So I don't know. I think Jed's smart enough to know that that's not going to end well for him. So I think what could happen though is that there could be, because there is internal pressure and everybody is dialed up super tight over there. I would say that if there could be a reshuffling as far as the power structure where the masthead, where everybody's name is still in the same order, but within the room, certain voices are more powerful than others, or certain voices gain power while other voices lose power, kind of a thing. I think I could see that. That seems like more their speed than to run out Lynch, because Lynch is he's an honorable guy. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a great face of the franchise. He's undeniably a smart guy. He's an ethical guy. He's a great face of the franchise. He's got an impeccable reputation across the sport, right? You're not going to fire him necessarily. You might be able to influence him to do fewer personnel roles and more presidential roles in some kind of internal thing, but that's how I see it.
I just don't get the sense that Jed York wants to shake anything up. I get the sense that he wants everyone to believe that the Niners have this, going in the right direction. They're building something, and the only reason they're not contending more aggressively this year is because it's a transition year and they had some injuries. That's the only like everything they're doing is good. And there's a lot of people who will tell you that. I think that's kind of what they want, just to sort of control the narrative while they
But
go 10-7 or 11-6.
there's got to be somebody though who's looking at these draft picks and these investments and go, there's 18 picks in the first 3 rounds in the last 9 drafts that are kind of like, what? Really Jake Moody, really Cam Latu, really Dante, so I mean there's got to be some reckoning moment for 18 misses in 9 drafts in the first 3 rounds. I mean, you're averaging 2 misses out of 3 picks. You're only supposed to get 3 picks in the first 3 rounds, 1 pick per round, and you have 18 misses in 9 years. So you got more picks, and then you missed 18 times. It's not like you missed all of them, but you had a lot of picks, and you missed 18 of them. Anyway, it's too high of a miss rate. Somebody's going to get blamed for that at some point. That is the number one reason. I don't want to hear about injuries. I don't want to hear about transition years. The number one reason that if they fall short, they've fallen short is they're if you gave them, if they, instead of missing 18 players, if they missed half that many, they missed 9, you gave the Niners 9 more players drafted in rounds 1, 2, or 3 still on their roster contributing, they would be a better football team and probably a Super Bowl team.
Joseph Ernberg says Panthers about to cook these bum-ass Niners. No, they're not. They haven't cooked anyone. They've won some close games. Joseph Ernberg says, who is the most critical content creator? David. East Dad says, tired of KS and his sheet. Get him out of here. And his sheet? His play sheet? Bill Kennedy says, think they will limit Brock in practice.
That sheet's laminated, by the way. Have some respect for lamination.
You can't get rid of that.
Yeah.
It's not biodegradable.
That's a weatherproof sheet. It's not a piece of paper.
Will Brock be limited or full go?
That's a good one. I bet you he's limited. I bet you they'll keep him in like limited status. Or do you think that begs more questions? So maybe they'll make him full go just to. I mean, I don't know if there'll be a difference in what we see, right? We're not even seeing it. So it's what's more to their advantage to say he's limited and have him play, or say that he's full go, give everybody confidence he's the guy.
Maybe full go. I don't know. They said he was full go, what, Thursday, Friday?
Or was he gamesmanship? I mean, and these coaches love their gamesmanship.
Yeah.
Limited is the gamesmanship move, right? Limited says, hey, Panthers, you got some underling in your office? Well, guess what? He's going to go watch Mac Jones video for the next 5 hours because we said Brock's limited. And we want him spending those 5 hours doing that, because if he's doing that, that's 5 hours he can't be doing something else. So we'll just say Brock's limited for gamesmanship.
It could happen.